the world moves forward at an exponential pace. We are impartial arbiters of knowledge. We are the navigators of disruption. We link our known to your unknown. We anticipate what it will take to thrive. Protecting your potential for growth in an exponential world. We are the trusted advisor.
Welcome to another episode of C3's What the Tech, and the people that you're going to hear from today have truly seen it all. We have several Fortune 500 companies on here with us today, and regardless of how big, complex, messy, and challenging your current situation might be, I promise you, all of these panelists have seen something worse, something weirder, something messier, something more challenging.
Interestingly enough, 0% voted that we don't have time to deal with this. So it's great to know that, again, that this is front of mind.
You know, that's funny because 6 months ago, that actually would be an answer, that people didn't have time to deal with this. But now here we are, they seem to be more interested in this. And these answers are very justifiable, right?
The need or necessity to augment or help with help desk or IT staff related. Saw a lot of organizations dramatically reduce their IT staff. Some have been slow in wanting to bring that full IT staff back, and they've looked to providers like us, and I think pretty much everybody on the call, to augment that for tasks that can't be automated. And then, as Tim pointed out, probably the single biggest thing that we're seeing is what we would call is the digitization of workflows and workloads. So it's specifically in the corporate owned or corporate liable mobile environment, being able to take ticket management or ITSM platforms, sort of the largest one that we see out there that enterprises use, or ServiceNow, and the carriers and some of the underlying platforms that they offer, tying those together through APIs and taking what was a very swivel chair manual process. I'm an employee working for a company. I go put in a ticket to ServiceNow, goes through its workflow, it gets approved, and it hits that help desk. And that help desk agent at the company is swivel chairing between, their ticket system and multiple different sort of carrier systems, or maybe even internally financial systems. Being able to integrate all of those systems and automate and take a process that might have taken 2 or 3 or 4 days and really make that happen with a click of a button, but also have that bi-directional communication. Probably one of the biggest things that we're seeing or getting from a request perspective, but ironically that workflow, digitizing workflow is also one of the single biggest things we saw coming into it as well. It's almost kind of become even more important. So those are kind of the 3 big areas that we're seeing right now.
We help save money on cloud costs, cloud infrastructure costs. The 2 ways we do that is by turning off virtual machines, databases, scale groups, database clusters, Kubernetes clusters. We turn those off on nights and weekends. So typically, like non-production workloads like dev, test, and QA can be turned off, but nobody does it. So we can help automate that. And then we can help right-size servers as well. So we can help show you a smaller size based on the data that we're getting from the cloud providers. So that's across AWS, Azure, and Google. And then we allow users to actually log in and manage their servers. So that way they don't have to open a ticket just to turn on their server after hours. They can manage it themselves. You can put limits around that and guardrails around that. But we're really focused on cost savings for the cloud infrastructure.
So you ensure that whatever I'm consuming, or whatever I'm actually paying for is truly what I'm consuming.
Exactly. There's a lot of cloud waste out there. A lot of people think, I'm going to move to the cloud, it's going to be cheaper, and that's not true. And if you operate in the cloud the same way you're used to operating on premise, you're basically going to get burned because you're paying by the hour. And so on premise, you're used to spinning up VMs, devs just kind of turn stuff on and leave it on 24/7. It doesn't really matter. But in the cloud, you got to put some guardrails up. You got to put some. It's like turning the lights out when you leave the room. So we can help automate that and help users kind of manage their own servers that way, so that their workflow isn't really disrupted, because you still want them to get their work done, but you want to pay as little as possible so you're maximizing what you're getting out of it. But
we're enterprise-ready organization, so we deal with some SMB clients, but we mostly deal with large SMB and enterprise clients. And as I just mentioned a moment ago, we can handle the mobility, the fixed telecom. We even handle the utility piece too. So when you think of things like water, trash, gas, electric, and sewage, our platform has the capability to handle those types of spend as well, and also apply the two layers that I mentioned on top of the expense management, the MACD as well as the help desk. So we can do utility procurement as well as utility help desk. But about 90% of our clients really skew towards the telecom piece.
For those organizations that had decentralized procurement processes prior to this pandemic, now they're trying to get a grasp of what do we have and what do we need, and how do we clean this up and make it easier to manage this going forward. So if you have a global enterprise that's in 100 different countries with 40 different providers in 10 different languages, is that something that you can handle? And if so, how do you guys go about dealing with that?
We've integrated with these organizations. So from a client perspective, it's one single front end. It's Advanix. They have one account manager. They have one system to go to. They have one support team to communicate with to simplify and streamline the interactions between client and Advanix. But on the back end, we're tying together all these different geolocations. You made a really good point. That's kind of the fracturing of process and the fracturing of data, and being able to pull all that together. So centralization has been one of the biggest requests that we've seen, both pre and post COVID-19. It's becoming a bigger challenge post COVID-19, primarily because of the work from home culture that's been it's really accelerated based on this.
And really what we are, it's probably more staff augmentation around the ongoing management of telecommunication services. So great thing about us, I'm supported by a team of people averaging 25 plus years in this business. So our operations group supports our clients. They were ex-AT&T project managers, ex-Verizon customer advocates. Really, they're a group of super seasoned, tenured people that speak the language of the carriers, and we really know a lot of the intricate processes that the carriers have that translate into billing and installations and just kind of the ongoing daily customer service needs. Our people understand that, and we provide basically a white glove staff augmentation service to our clients.
So as companies have shifted to cloud services to realize cost and functionality benefits, Cloudflare has been at the center of this disruption. And on this slide, you can see some of the areas that we're providing services to our clients, anything from DNS to security and DDoS protection, disrupting hardware firewalls, all the way to performance and work from home kind of VPN type services. What we've seen with the kind of SMB market is that they kind of start with cloud service providers from an infrastructure perspective. They're using the AWSs, the Googles to host their infrastructure, and then they're looking to us to add performance and security benefits in front of those services. When you move up market to kind of mid-market and enterprise, things get a little bit more complex, right? They're coming off of big hardware deployments. They have some point solutions that exist today on top of those, and that's where a solution like Cloudflare can sit in front of both. We heard from the group online here that both consolidation of vendors and kind of the belief that they're overpaying are two kind of things that are top of mind. And with Cloudflare, those are the two things that kind of we help customers with most, right? With our platform, you can now have Cloudflare sit in front of all of your infrastructure and kind of remove the need to use 5-6 different vendors, but you're also reducing costs and taking advantage of some of that scale and kind of infrastructure we have.
What is your process to migrate somebody off of a previous platform that they might be dissatisfied with?
Sure. Always verify the data. So never trust it's 100% accurate. Rarely ever is.
So we talk to a lot of procurement folks, especially in the enterprise, and they go, well, we've got the best contract that's we've ever seen with Verizon and AT&T. We even paid Gartner to give it the stamp of approval that it's in the top 1%. The problem is once that contract is executed, the implementation of those rates typically doesn't fall in procurement, And even to implement what's in that contract, you need a very advanced system to do it. So the important thing is to separate out a contract and the rates that you get in an agreement from what is actually happening. You actually have to implement it.
Every company you've learned about today does phenomenal work, but also the way you're able to engage with them, there's no risk and there's nothing but upside potential to have. And they're able to do all of this without jeopardizing the caliber of technology you have in place. In fact, it's quite the opposite. All of these result in enhancing just that. So if you are interested in learning more about any of these providers, please reach out to C3. We'll be happy to help scope out your needs and align you with the right people and solutions. And please join us next time on our next episode of C3's What the Tech.